The site of all that carnage is set to reopen. Bourbon Street, we are being told, according to the New Orleans Police Department superintendent, is set to reopen in just a few minutes. We want to go live out there right now. We have crews that are on the scene. Leah McNeil right in front of Bourbon Street on Canal Street. Leah, I thought we were set to open maybe about 2:30, 3 o'clock, just right before the sugar pole was set to play.
Well, Cherise, they are very much ahead of schedule. Bourbon Street has actually just reopened. We actually saw quite a crowd of people waiting on the sides for that crime scene tape to be removed. And now you see some of the first crowds of people making their way onto Bourbon Street a little over 24 hours since that horrific terror attack that killed 14 people, 15 if you include the suspect, and also injured over 30 more people. As you can still see, we have a very heavy law enforcement presence here on scene, including Homeland Security, state troopers, the NOPD, and also a huge search and rescue unit from the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. It's acting as an extra barrier at the foot of Bourbon and Canal. Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick did tell us earlier when we spoke to her after a briefing, she did say that this will continue to be in place throughout the Sugar Bowl, but they've also gone ahead and added additional barriers along Bourbon Street on the sidewalks to make sure that they are have that extra sense of security for people who are continuing to flow onto Bourbon Street right now as it has since reopened. So still seeing a lot of people making their way onto Bourbon. I mean, Cherise, people were waiting on the sidewalks behind the caution tape, waiting for this moment. As again, I mentioned, it is ahead of schedule. Before they did reopen Bourbon Street, several different members of law enforcement, Sheriff Joe LaPinto was on scene, of course, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, other leaders within the NOPD, as well as Mayor Latoya Cantrell was all here. They held a prayer circle right in front of this JPSO unit and laid 14 yellow roses for each one of those victims who passed away during this horrific attack. And then, of course, in true New Orleans fashion, they proceeded down with a second line down the street, just returning the music, returning the spirit down on Bourbon Street. Some of the international media that came here, they were asking questions, you know, how do you do this? How do you play music? How do you come back on the street celebrating? And that's just what we do here. We acknowledge the dead, we honor our dead, and of course by playing music, by keeping that spirit and that heart of who we are alive. As we all know that this was an intentional attack, again according to police, this was planned out by this suspect who drove from Houston, Texas down here to New Orleans to carry out this attack, ultimately killing again 14 people here in our city and injuring 30 others. And also, of course, 2 officers as well. We do have team coverage on this, as we have been doing for the last 24 plus hours on this. I do know Amelia Strahan is also here in this area. I'm going to send over to Amelia. Amelia, what are you seeing from where you are?
All right, Leah, thank you so much. Right now, you're taking a live look with, it looks like Georgia fans that are standing on the base of Canal and Bourbon. And of course, Canal and Bourbon being the place where 42-year-old Shamsuddin Bahar Japar ran over 14 people on Bourbon Street. And we want to continue our coverage, Amelia Strahan, also on Canal Street. Amelia, you've been out there on Bourbon and Dauphine, if I'm not mistaken, since last night. Right now, you're standing directly on Bourbon Street. What's the feeling around there? Obviously, not the same as it was just 24 hours ago.
Of course not. It definitely still feels a little solemn. They just opened it up. We're one of the first people out here on Bourbon Street. You can take a look. There are just a few people walking down the street now. Like I said, we just opened up just moments ago. People are starting to kind of make their way down. We saw a few, it appears to be just pedestrians, not news crews. You know, people are ready to get back down here on Bourbon Street. Of course, just so shortly after that attack, but it does appear that, people are ready to be back out here. I spoke with Sheriff Hudson as well just moments ago. She was telling me that this area is heavily secured right now. There is a large law enforcement presence set up, very secure. She said that, people should feel safe back out here on Bourbon Street. She said it is still an all hands on deck effort. They have multiple agencies, both local and federal, securing the area. And the past few days we've been out here and it's been quiet. It's been blocked off by tape. It has been, I think we've used this a few times, just kind of frozen in time since the attack. I'm hearing music down there. I'm seeing a few, smiling faces. Of course, still such a tough time, but Bourbon Street is beginning to look a little more like the Bourbon Street we know and love. So it definitely is picking up. I'm going to step aside just so you guys can get a better look. We have lights on, restaurants, bars, they're all opening their doors again. There's quite the crowd walking down there. Robin, I'm gonna get us to keep on walking just so we can get a little bit closer. Like I mentioned, I'm not sure if you guys can hear the music, but it does sound just kind of night and day to how it has been the past few days. Yesterday, like I mentioned, it was just completely dead. There were agents investigating the scene, looking for answers. And now it is, it's a far cry from how it usually is at this time, but it is opening back up.
Amelia, tell me where you were standing.
We'll keep you updated as we know more.
Amelia, thank you for that update, but can you tell me, you were standing somewhere earlier. Is that the initial site of where the attack happened, where you were standing just now?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? It's a little loud out here.
The place you were standing earlier, was that the site of the attack where you were standing when we tossed you at the beginning of this live shot?
Yeah, so we were on Canal, so we were just about a block away. We were still blocked off by tape. They still had this area of Bourbon blocked off, but now they have opened it back up.
What about the businesses there in that particular block where the attack happened? Do we see the businesses reopening? Are they asking people to maybe move forward? I know there's a Hard Rock down there, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, a burger restaurant and a few other restaurants in that same block.
Yeah, I'm actually going to get you to take a look right over here. I'm going to turn the camera. You can see there are some people already sitting down in these restaurants. Some of the tables are full. The lights are back on. It looks like people are already eating because they just opened it back up. This means they must have been some of the first people down here on Bourbon Street. I don't know if you just saw one of the waiters waving, so it does appear that things are, getting just a little bit more back to normal. I also spoke with the owner of a few restaurants, Galatoire's. I spoke to someone from their restaurant. They are opening back up today as well. So these businesses, it was supposed to be such a busy time of the year for them. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, the Sugar Bowl, which of course was postponed a bit, and they're ready to open their doors back to the people of New Orleans.
All right, Amelia, thank you so much for that update. As you keep walking down Bourbon Street, we'll check back in with you in a second. We want to turn things back over to Leah McNeil, who is live for us on Canal Street. Leah, you guys were listening to a press conference a little bit earlier, and Amelia just mentioned this, but I can imagine the heightened security that is happening on Bourbon Street and around the French Quarter, especially with the Sugar Bowl set to take place in 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely a strong sense of law enforcement presence here on Bourbon Street, right at the foot of Bourbon and Canal. But I want to take you all to show you this right here. These are the 14 roses that were put here to honor those 14 lives that were lost in this horrific terrorist attack. As you can see, Bourbon Street has reopened and people are walking about, but a lot of people are taking the time, taking a pause to reflect on these roses, to remember that these were people here trying to enjoy their lives just as they are continuing to do today. Circling back to that enhanced police presence, and of course enhanced security measures, you do see right next to these roses some more protections that Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick did mention. You see some of these yellow barriers here that are on the sidewalk to prevent or hopefully stop any vehicles or any other thing that tries to pass this section of Bourbon Street. They're also strategically placed, according to Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, further along and down Bourbon Street to make sure that, again, they have the most heightened sense of security, to make sure that people, see the enhancements and see those enforcements, to make sure that they feel secure when they do make their way down Bourbon Street. But looking right next to this enhanced security, we do see this bollard, of course, these were the source of a lot of questions and a lot of confusion initially when this first happened. A lot of people wondering if this barrier was up and why it was not up. Of course, we did hear from the mayor, who did say that it was being repaired and was expected to be ready in time for the Super Bowl. That is still the case, but nonetheless, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick did say they went ahead and added these extra precautions, like these yellow barriers on the side, to make sure that they're insured and they're ready. They're excited and they're ready to go ahead and move forward. As you can hear, people are trying to continue to move along and find joy amongst this tragedy as they continue to get ready for the Super Bowl. But as you look down, you see Bourbon Street is starting to look how it normally would during the Sugar Bowl, with the crowds filling up pretty quickly out here. I mean, people were waiting outside the crime scene tape to get onto Bourbon Street. I see quite a few businesses that have since reopened, so a lot of people were waiting with anticipation to get back on Bourbon Street, but of course keeping in mind those lives that were lost and those 30-plus people who were injured. I did ask Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick just after the press conference to see, are these additional barriers going to be in place? Is this going to be a permanent solution? Is this a long-term solution? She said as of right now, this is just a temporary solution just to make sure that we can get through the Sugar Bowl. And she said they are going to explore other options as well to add additional safeguards, of course, as we get closer and closer to the Super Bowl and Carnival season that is just days away with the start of 12th night. So a lot of events still to come here in the city of New Orleans, not just the Sugar Bowl, but of course, as I just mentioned, Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl as well. So again, things looks like, despite the tragedy that we had here now, just a little more than 24 hours ago, people are starting to return to Bourbon Street, really in droves, I would say, and of course, still taking the time to acknowledge the 14 lives that were lost. You can see them the second you step onto Bourbon Street at the intersection of Canal and Bourbon, right where the truck plowed through these people, standing right here. It's surreal to see that this scene is reopened after it was shut down for an extended period of time. I do want to mention, before I send it back to you all in the studio, there's also extra protection. Looking at it right now, there's a JPSO vehicle that is kind of catty-cornered in the intersection of Canal and Bourbon. Also another NOPD cruiser that is blocking the sidewalk where that car initially ran around that vehicle and onto the sidewalk, thus hitting those people. But again, as you can see, people are returning to Bourbon Street here this afternoon, I should say, and are continuing on with their Sugar Bowl celebration, Sharice.
Lee, I have to ask you, I know that we talked about the cruiser being posted at the beginning of Canal and Bourbon Street, an NOPD cruiser was posted there again the night of the attack, the morning of the attack, rather. I can imagine it'll be a while before Bourbon Street will allow vehicles on that street. Do we know if they're cutting off vehicular traffic or if that's going to last for some time until they figure out a protection plan for people who are pedestrians on Bourbon Street?
Well, right now I can tell you there is still crime scene tape blocking off the street. They did remove the crime scene tape on the sidewalk to allow pedestrian traffic onto Bourbon Street, but as far as the streets are still blocked off, so there is still no vehicular traffic allowed in this area. Still waiting for more clarification and confirmation as to when vehicle traffic will be allowed back on this street, but as of right now, it is even extending further a little bit past both sides of Bourbon Street. The streets are still blocked. So at this time, it's still not clear when we could see that vehicular traffic move into the area. I'm looking at some movement now of a Homeland Security vehicle out here, as well as some additional state trooper vehicles that look like they're moving in, getting ready to get set and in place. So still a very strong show of force when it comes to law enforcement presence out here. But again, it doesn't look like they're going to be opening the street anytime soon. Yeah, a strong show of force, especially from law enforcement, given the fact that they've confirmed from the FBI that Jabbar was acting alone, and thankfully they can open that street back up. But still, we have some recovery to do